Speaking of which, AEW, we mentioned beating NXT. Seth Rollins, who's not shy at taking shots at AEW, was asked at a recent fan fest if he's interested in a match with Kenny Omega. And Seth replied, when Kenny's done playing in the minor leagues over there, he can come and work at the absolute top professional wrestling company in the world in front of the most people and make the most money and have the biggest matches, which is me at WrestleMania. Which is Kenny Omega is taking shots at NXT, so not a big deal, but Jim Ross got pissed. I'll just read what he said. He said, it doesn't do any favors to our business. And he said that he talked to two Hall of Fame guys who were embarrassed by Rollins' comments. He said that Rollins, let me find that quote where he said, but go ahead with your thoughts and I'll get the rest of this quote here in a second.
Yeah, no, I saw that as well. And where Jim, I think, mentioned that Seth, in saying that, in the disappointment in that, and Jim clearly took offense to it, that and maybe one day he'll be as over as his girlfriend or something of that nature, correct?
Yeah. Here, let me. There's a lot here, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. But he said, Rollins is in a great spot. He's blessed. Maybe someday he'll be as over as his girlfriend. I don't know. Nonetheless, I've liked his work. He did say that. Shad Khan, the owner of AEW, is a lot richer than Vince McMahon. He said Mr. Khan's got more money than Vince, but nonetheless, that's another story for another day. JR just went off.
Yeah, I just think that it's with Seth. It's a tough. How do you answer that? And he's a baby face on TV and whatnot. Are there different ways to answer that? And I think I saw the clip of it at the little conference thing that he was at, and he could have said, absolutely, it would be a dream matchup. I wish them nothing but the best, and if the stars align, maybe one day it happens. Could have you gone that way? Is it a boring answer? Yeah, I think they've taken shots at different times when you got two different companies, and Seth is not wrong as far as WWE is the biggest company, and he has been there busting his ass and doing everything he's been told. He's received, and when you're in those positions, you receive so much criticism and hate, and that's one of the things. It's like it's almost best if you're working there not to have social media or to be on it. Your life would be a lot better because he deals with probably as much bullshit as anybody from hearing backlash from the fans and on all sorts of things. So I think at times, and then you go to an interview or a conference and a fan asks a question that it just gets under your skin and you're agitated from the fucking thousands of comments that you're seeing on social media, and then you give a response that maybe you wouldn't give if you were in a little better mood, but you give it and it's not bad, but it rubs somebody the wrong way, and obviously it rubbed Jim the wrong way, and then Jim fires back, and it is what it is, and nobody's wrong in any of the situation. I think in what we've talked about with the AEW presentation, there's a few guys that look like big-time superstars, and then there's a lot of guys that don't yet. Not to say that they can't be and they won't be in the future with more television time. But I think Seth is just speaking solely from right now on that, and Jim loves pro wrestling. Jim is over there right now, and Jim has made a lot of comments about the product and what he would like to see as far as, and I know Jim's not a huge fan of a lot of the flips and some of the other stuff, and as I don't think a lot of casual regular wrestling fans aren't either. It is what it is. I mean, it's in Seth. Seth actually, I thought had something worse happen to him this week, was where he called Vince a weird old man. I saw with a fan, which I actually sympathize with him, because the fan who recorded that's so shitty that you're going and meeting a guy and supposedly you like him or whatever reason, and you're recording without him knowing and then putting that up. Now, Seth has to be accountable. If he wants to say that, that's fine. We all know he's not lying. It's like I was like, that's a shitty thing to do from a fan standpoint to somebody you supposedly like. But he's been in the news a bit with things, and you got to be careful with everything, because everyone's always looking for something. But I'm sure we all know Vince is a weird old man, and so it's actually you're like, well, yeah, it's not so bad.
He had Eric Bischoff make out with his wife and his daughter on TV. So
it's not. You're going to be hard pressed to find somebody that's going to go like, well. But Jim is. I like Jim, and I think Jim loves pro wrestling. I think Jim wants everything to be as good as possible for pro wrestlers too. So at the end of the day.
Yeah, Seth Rollins, his full comment when he was asked why he doesn't wear his white gear, and he said Vince won't let me wear it because he's a weird old man who doesn't get that people think it's the coolest gear they've ever seen. And Jim Ross, to your point, he also made some comments about you recently. I know you have Conrad Thompson on this episode, kind of insinuating that your WWE career didn't get to what he said your full potential. Yeah. And he kind of insinuated that it was attitude, right place, right time. And he said, along the way, you didn't do yourself any favors. Now, I know you've responded to this a little bit. Jim Ross wasn't there when you were with the company. What were your thoughts when you heard that?
Disappointed because, I like Jim a lot, and he's clarified himself on Twitter that he just wanted the best and to see me, fulfill my potential and realize my dreams. And I had Conrad on, and we talked about it briefly. And again, I like Jim, and there's no beef. He wasn't there for any of the run, any of it. And the important thing for me, I was talking to Conrad, I go, if you're going to say somebody has a bad attitude, or which he did, it was, and again, he very complimentary too. And WWE dropped the ball and wrong place, wrong time, or whatnot. But he was saying that not doing myself any favors and bad attitude. And so I have to just simply, and we've talked about it, but for everybody, in the past is the past, and it's all done, and I'm grateful for everything. And it's all happened for my favor and benefit for the things that I've been able to do. And the first thing is the injuries. I don't think Jim understood, and talking to Conrad, I don't think, and he kind of pointed that out, that Jim even understands why I left to begin with, outside of maybe what he read, and with the back needing a 5-disc fusion and shoulder replacement. But Jim mentioned, he goes, that there wasn't a lot of trust, and that he's correct on, but he doesn't know why. And again, it all stems back to when I broke my ankle in the Nexus and had the multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the doctor who botched the entire surgery, which I still pay. I'm paying thousands of dollars now doing new therapy, trying to get my nerves regenerated into my foot. That I had the lawsuit against the doctor that did this in WWE, and Jane Geddes called me and literally told me right when my main event feud with Punk was getting started. I had no money at this point. I was struggling because they were holding my money. I was living. I couldn't put a hotel rooms on my card yet because I was still living week to week and just coming out of starting and being on the road 5 days a week. That this multi-million-dollar lawsuit that was open and shut, that they forced me to drop or threaten my job with it, essentially off the record, as Jane said, that I bent over backwards for them. I go, you know what? I go, absolutely. If that's what you guys want, I will work for my money. And everything was so good right then. I trusted them. Even after they had tried firing me after the ankle injury and having some things with Hunter, I chose to trust them and believe that I could trust them. And that as soon as the statute of limitations ran up shortly thereafter, that's when all the games started, in losing the 7 pay-per-views while I was in that top position. And again, Jim talks about a bad attitude. I had nothing in different talent telling me, you're too positive, you need to fix this, you're too positive. I always was saying, I'll be able to overcome this, I'll be able to overcome this, it's going to pay off. And I did nothing but put talent over at various points in my career, when arguably you would say that should have been for me, from a large portion of the audience. Never once did I bitch, never once did I go try to get the finish changed. And again, a lot of this comes down to me trusting them and giving away that lawsuit money, and then needing the money because I had no money. So, and they took away my position of power with that. And throughout my career, doing business time and time again, all the way up until, the Shield, working with them when I was a heel. I can't tell you, Raj, how many times when the Shield was really, really getting pushed, and it's all documented, there's footage. I got triple power bombed more than anybody, not only during my babyface run with them, but when I was heel, because nobody wanted to take triple power bombs from the Shield. I would volunteer all the time to do it because and guys would get mad at me for wanting to put them over, and I go, no, they're pushing them. We have to. These are the guys they want to make. So it bothers me that he went that route and he was never there, like never there, not for any of it. And I know he talks to people within WWE and whatnot, and Kevin Dunn or whoever it is, and he's smart enough to know that I left with everything, and they put out, like, they have the working relationship with the Sportster and Bleacher Report, and those are the companies that were putting out all the bad things about me that I had to have taken down when I left, and that they're not going to say, well, of course they're going to say he has a bad attitude, but let's look at the whole picture. And falling at my face at WrestleMania with Mark Henry, I went out and I said, I had a discussion with Vince on it. I went out and I did my job. I never complained. All the way to the point that I left, the contract negotiations, everything getting changed with Kalisto. I argue anybody to watch those matches and act like that's a guy who's not coming back the next night. You would never have known. I went out there and I did everything in my power to help put Kalisto over. I never once tried to fight to go get the finish changed. That's what you want to do. That's what I'll go do. I'll go make him. Hopefully we make him after this. So I would argue that I never had a bad attitude at any point when I was there, but I left and I've talked the truth and my truth from that. So if that's what you want to say is having a bad attitude so that your fans understand why you left to begin with, then so be it. But I just wish if you're going to say something like that, you back it up with facts and with specific facts, because I would be able to then be able to defend myself a little better on that. And I just look at people, when I left, of course I was pissed off and left, but you got to remember, you have talent there that sit in pools, Raj, that talk shit about everybody, that bitch and complain in the locker room, in the stands. I never once was a part of that. And if I was, I would get up and leave if they started, guys would, because that's what happens there. And there's a lot of insecurity and jealousy in pro wrestling. You have a 300-pound guy who looks great, who probably everyone thinks takes steroids, who doesn't. Do you think, I don't know what people are going to say and not say. And if I say something and, whoa, Ryback's bitching and complaining, everybody there bitches and complains all the time, openly and whatnot. So, and I never made a point to go around doing that. And not to say that I'm sure there were different points towards the end that I obviously showed frustration, and I would say rightfully fucking so after everything and whatnot. So, but I always conducted business professionally and did my job. And I just think that if you're going to say a guy has a bad attitude, you need to back it up with some specific facts on why he has the bad attitude. But I think if people that know my career and knows what happened, and with that lawsuit and the different things, then you can understand. And obviously, creatively, with what I brought to the table and having the numbers there with it, that you can look at it and say, oh, that guy actually fucking had a great attitude for all of that. I would have killed somebody. Like, it's so. I like Jim, and I know Jim doesn't mean any harm with anything, and he's stated he wishes the best. And I just think he doesn't, saying like I left a lot on the table. I had to leave. I needed a 5-disc fusion and shoulder replacement that the company was covering up with Toradol and cortisone. If I hadn't left, I would have been forced to retire within what I was told within probably 6 months with the way that it was going and catching my disc when I caught it. So I obviously vented my frustrations, and again, creatively and financially, even though they offered me a decent amount of money to stay, that I did not choose to resign. That if you just look at the facts, I think you'll see that it's. I had to leave to save my life and my career, and again, financially getting toyed with once I dropped that lawsuit and dealing with the repercussions of all that. Now it's very frustrating, but I've learned to let it, like, I'm grateful for the entire experience because it's made me who I am today. But I would be lying if I said it didn't piss me off, and still doesn't piss me off at times that people don't understand because it's been talked about so much. And that's all I want. Just understand the facts of what happened. And then if you still want to fucking say whatever you want to say, awesome. But that's the facts of what happened.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it sounds like JR kind of took that back on Twitter and everything. Yeah, so hopefully
it's over and done with, water under the bridge. And he doesn't, I just said again, if you're going to make comments, just please, at least let's back him up. And everyone, we all say things, and maybe we shouldn't have said that. So,
hey guys, it's the big guy Ryback, and I just want to say thank you very much for watching. Go ahead and punch that like, smash that subscribe button, and check out my all natural supplement line. Supplement. Stupid. My all natural supplement line. Feed Me More Nutrition, available on Amazon and feedmemore.com. And as always, Conversation with the Big Guy Ryback, available on all podcast platforms, iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, and wherever podcasts are available. Never forget, feed me more.
Thank you for tuning in to this segment of Ryback's Conversation with the Big Guy. Watch full episodes here on YouTube. Subscribe if you're new. Smash that like button if you had a great time watching. And for all supplements, check out feedmemore.com.